Hey, man.
Hey, what's going
Hey,
on?
pretty good, man. Been watching your chest death video.
Yeah, and here's the crazy thing about that is right after I posted that, I came across more information, and I'll tell you, that whole narrative gets shadier and shadier as the days go by. Because our one concern, like the thing you had said where in the first video where you were like, well, if it is all nonsense, it only works out really well for Podesta. I don't know if you've seen when the Alan or whatever brother got arrested, his lawyer issued a statement, and it came out and it said that this is all a conspiracy to persecute him coming from the Pizzagate media. And Podesta also has been out this whole week writing articles and being on podcasts and blogs, pushing for social networks and stuff to censor certain people, pushing certain things. And you also have the Jordan Peterson shadow ban that went into effect. So they're pushing to censor stuff, and I really think that people were baited into this one. I think there's something to it. I'm not saying, and that's the other thing that really bothers me. I can put out a simple question like this. Like, here's one of the things that bothers me about this whole story. Everyone is now functioning under the presumption that every single graphic designer and logo maker out there is aware of the pedophile symbols when 90% of us didn't know what they were last year. You know what I mean? Like, it's... You can't have this, like, oh, well, because this symbol is here, it must be. Like, I really feel like people should use, like, the 80-20 rule, where, like, same thing with bands putting pentagrams in their logos and stuff like that. 80% of them are probably just doing it to copy someone else and because they think it's cool and edgy. And there's probably 20% that are doing it and know what they're doing and are tied into things. And I'm just trying to say, listen, we shouldn't function thinking that all graphic designers are even aware of these pedophile signs, and somehow that makes me a disinfo agent. So.
I do find the whole thing, I find the whole thing weird about him committing suicide. I'm no expert, but he got to quite an old age without committing suicide. He just bought £1 million house for his family. He's got, what, 6 kids? He's got a wife.
No, I think he was murdered. I definitely think he was murdered.
He seemed to be in a good state of mind.
And here's the other thing that really bothers me about me being called the disinfo agent. This whole link tying, this whole idea that Chris Cornell was going to expose pedophiles and everything, it all comes from The Metal Den, which is a metal music blog that says, I have this from an anonymous source. So you have one place saying, I have this info from I'm not going to say who, and now everyone's running with it, and if anyone just goes, well, I don't know about this, like, it's not really verifiable, like, maybe not, and then it's like, you're an agent! And it's like, the truth community is turning into social justice warriors, where if anyone even questions a narrative, they must be dismissed, and they must just be written off, and don't listen to them, and it's not even that, oh, well, this person just doesn't see it the way we do, it's, they are proactively working against us for the opposition, they are the enemy. It's like, it goes from one extreme to the other so quickly. And I don't know when this shift happened. Like, I think it happened over the Flat Earth stuff. And I really think that wasn't a psyop in the way everyone thought it was, but it ran a psyop on them where now they're super close-minded. And you can't have a truth community that is so dismissive of alternate theories. Because, even some of these people in the comments, you'll see where I'm talking to them, and I'm like, listen, I think there's something shady to it. I think the Illuminati sacrifices people. I just don't know about this them being pedophile vigilante story that you've infused into this. And then people are like, oh, okay, maybe, yeah, I don't know. But the response off the bat is just so dismissive and over the top, where all I'm just trying to say is like, listen, we've known they've killed celebrities. Like, are we going to now? Let's go back into the past. Was Michael Jackson killed because he could have exposed pedophiles? What about Prince, Whitney Houston? Like, where is this narrative coming from? Why are we believing it? What evidence do we have? I mean, simple things. If I ask a simple question like, why, if John Podesta is a pedophile, why is he sleeping with a grown woman? People are getting really pissed about me asking that simple question, but it's a simple surface level question.
There's a couple of things I want to throw in there. First of all, if you look at Chester, when Podesta was his age now, they don't look the same.
Well, and
Then
here's the other thing
the
that
other thing,
bothers
hang
me
on,
too.
there's a couple of other things I want to throw in there. I just want to.
But real quick, have we seen any pictures of Chester's mom? Because that bothers me too. We're being shown these pictures and saying, look how much they look alike, but you don't have 50% of the information. Like, what does his mom look like? Maybe some of these attributes actually come from his mom, but we haven't seen a picture of her to even judge it against. Like, that bothers me at some level. And it's not me, you know, wanting to debunk this or anything. I just want to feel like I have all the info before I take a stance.
The thing for me is, it's definitely the case for murder there, because it doesn't match your typical suicide. A, why the hell would you hang yourself? Of all the ways you could kill yourself, hanging yourself. Would he do it if he had 6 kids? Would he do it if he had a wife? He just bought a £1 million house. He's working on an album. Usually when people commit suicide, it's when things fall apart.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything. They don't have future plans. Then the other thing is Chester's a pretty clever guy. Why wouldn't he make it look like an accident? So at least the insurance company pays out. So imagine if you kill yourself, you don't get any insurance money, do you?
Yeah. No, you don't.
I can't believe Chester would be that selfish. I think if he did kill himself, he would crash a car off a cliff or something.
Yeah.
You know, fall off stage, you know, electrocute himself.
I mean, unless he thinks there's just enough in his estate to cover everything. But you're right. I mean...
No, because he'd be fucking over his bandmates. He'd be fucking over the tour crew. Everyone involved in the record production, they're not going to get paid out on this.
Yeah, well, here's something else I had said too. You can tell if it's the typical sort of Illuminati sacrifice. Like, if this summer or next year Linkin Park gets, you know, Lifetime Achievement Awards and introduced to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and, you know, if they end up getting, like, you know, established in, like, a really big, sort of like the Beastie Boys. You had that one Beastie Boy die out of nowhere, and next thing you know, it was like, these guys are legends, here's their Lifetime Achievement Awards, this and that, where they sort of then get all sorts of new, not awards, but there's a word I'm looking for, you know, when they sort of, it's like a rebranding, repackaging, like they say that, where certain people, before they end up with a big, you know, boom or a second boom or something, they say that sometimes they have to sacrifice someone. Before 50 Cent got on, the guy from Run DMC was sacrificed. You had Lady Gaga, right before she blew up, one of her friends died mysteriously, and the friend's mom said, Lady Gaga sacrificed my daughter for fame and fortune. So, I'm waiting to see that now. I'm waiting to see if awards just start getting handed to Linkin Park.
I don't really understand the 911 call, because it's from the driver. So from what I get, the driver doesn't have a fucking clue what's going on. He's just turned up to pick up Chester. I don't know if he got out the car or what, but the maids come running to the car going, oh, I found Chester dead. So did she just wait until the driver turned up and go, you call 911? Why didn't she call 911?
Yeah.
Why is there a body hanging in Chester's house? What the...
Yeah.
Why would you wait for the driver to turn up? Is that what happened? That's what it sounds like happened.
Yeah,
So
I don't know.
I find Jamie hanging in his bedroom. Do I call the police, or do I just wait for his driver to turn up? And why would the maid even know what time that the driver's turning up that day? Would she have Chester's schedule?
Yeah,
Why would a maid have Chester's schedule and know that he's getting a driver to go to the studio or whatever? How does he know he's not going kickboxing? How does he know he's not shooting a video? How does he know he's not just going to go for a swim? She knows that the driver's going to happen. When he does, she goes, right, you call 911. The other thing is, it doesn't look like he was it just says there was a body of alcohol next to him, half a bottle. Doesn't say what kind of alcohol. So it sounds like he was fairly clean. They didn't find any drug paraphernalia around him. And I'm speculating, but the doctors are suggesting that the autopsy is going to show he was quite clean.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure about that. Here's the thing. Like I had said in the last episode, Chester was on Suboxone, which the way that works is the buprenorphine acts as a blocker. So if you were to be on Suboxone, and I know this from first-hand experience, so I'm not just talking about stuff I don't know. If you were to be on it and do heroin, the heroin would have no effect. And if you were to do heroin and then too shortly after take the Suboxone, it puts you into instant withdrawals. Like, so you're on a medication that basically physically prohibits you from getting high. So there's no point for him to be doing drugs if he was still on it, which I know he said it saved his life, so I doubt he's off of it. So I think the toxicology is going to come back clean.
Well, let's get into the news. There is so much to do. May as well start with the big, huge one, which is, I know you're going to love this one. It's the Trump and the transgender ban.
Yeah. You know, and it was really funny. I was debating someone on this who refused to say that transgenderism was a disorder. They basically tried saying that it isn't a problem. The only problem is the environments that these people have to come up in because they're unaccepting. And so I was like, okay, so transitioning is the solution to what? And they like just would refuse to say that there is a problem there. Because I just say, like, I'm sure you saw my Facebook post. I said flat out, Trump is doing more to save the lives of transgender people than anything else. Like, it pisses me off. The same people that all last year were supporting Bernie Sanders and being like anti-war, with the government's been invading countries, we're the reason for Muslim radicals, and you know, our military is the most evil thing on earth, is then all pissed off that we can't have trannies in the military? Like, how does this work? I'm so sick of these people that their positions are just based on whatever's best for them at the moment and whatever carries the victim narrative. Like, you can't oppose all the wars and then be all butthurt that Trump won't allow trannies in the military. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me, and these people don't realize.
I think he should apologise for the way he said it. I think he put it out there really badly. But what the problem is the military is meant to be the most discriminated place on the planet. There's a reason why they discriminate. I wouldn't get in the army. I wouldn't get in the Marines because they're discriminating against me because of my size, my weight, my fitness, my strength, and my mentality. I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to cut it. And it's because, you know, people are putting their lives on the risk. They don't want to be in a trench if, you know, Tommy's trying to figure out if it's Tommy. You know, you're there to do a job. I don't understand where it became a social experiment. And if the suicide rate is nearly 1 in 2, like transvestites, I was reading medical studies, 1 in 2 are going to have suicide attempts. So why the hell would you put them in the military?
Yeah.
And you saw Lady Gaga put the tweet out going, if 1 in 2 transvestites tried killing themselves, why don't you let them into society? And it's like, I don't think the army is the society, really.
Well, and here's the
not
other
anyone
thing.
is. You don't have a right to serve your country, I don't think.
Well, here's the other thing, too. You know, this whole trans thing, it's all about my identity, who I am. Let me tell you, the military is no place for your fucking identity. In fact, their sole purpose of boot camp is to
kill.
Break down your identity. You are not an identity. You are a part of a machine. You are a cog in the killing wheel, basically. Like, and that's where I I have an issue with it. Like, you can't have someone that's so wrapped up in themselves and, you know,
What's the suicide rate of returning vets?
oh my god, it's ridiculous. And I've had friends try to make that point where they said, you know, trannies already have a suicide rate that's parallel to
1 in
Jews
2.
during the Holocaust. So now let's add in post-traumatic stress disorder and everything else. Like, yeah, it's a death sentence. And these people don't care because all they care about is opposing Trump. They don't care about these people.
Yeah, that's what people were replying back to me. They were saying like, well, men have a high suicide rate. You're going to ban men from the army? And I said, yes, definitely, if their suicide rate goes up to 1 in 2.
Well, and here's the other thing.
If men's suicide rate was 1 in 2 men were killing themselves, I would definitely say don't put men in the military. But you know the number's nowhere near that.
Yeah, and it's like, if you have a past history of suicide attempts and
Yeah, you're not getting in.
you're not getting in. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just, you know, it's so funny, and it's such a common sense thing when you look at the list of everything else the military will deny you for. If you had tubes in your ears as a baby, if you were, you know, if you have flat feet, they won't let you in. Like, there's a mile-long list. And this is just one of these things that are now added to it. And I just, you know, this whole idea, like, I watched Tucker Carlson debate someone about it, and the person tried saying that without transgenders, our national security is at risk, and it makes our country less safe. And I'm like, please, are you kidding?
Other people were saying, this is my friend, so I'm not going to mention names. He runs a business, he's meant to be quite intelligent. He said that if Trump allowed transgenders in, the total cost for the medical treatment would be around £2 to £8 million for the whole year.
You're not true.
I said, yeah, per transgender person, maybe.
Yeah, I was watching a thing where they were talking about that. Just the between plastic surgery.
Yeah, Phineas, I'm going to sound like a cunt. No, hang on, I'm going to sound like a cunt. I'm going to go there. If you run a fucking business, how can you say it costs 2 to 8 million? That jump from 2 million to 8 million is what, 400% increase?
Yeah,
You're going to give yourself a 400% margin to be out. The trick is if you're using a 400% margin, I already know you're talking shit about your numbers. Like, how much did Chelsea Manning's operations cost? The taxpayer.
I don't know, but here's the other thing people were saying.
Should we say that was 2 million already? That's just one person.
You know, these surgeries and everything like that are expensive, and I mean, what if you then have, again, you have these people who already, you know, there's documents suggesting that they have mental issues anyway, but then what if, because they aren't all together, you know, they decide, oh, well, I want all these surgeries, how can I get it done for free? Let me join the service. So then we'll go and we'll dump all this money into, you know, transforming this person's gender or whatever. But now they're in the military, they're going to end up off a battle somewhere. They might get shot, so there was that millions of dollars invested into changing their gender so they could just die in a war, or they're going to end up, like we were saying, with post-traumatic stress disorder and go and kill themselves afterwards. It's not going to be worth it. It's just such a bad idea.
There's a trend here about mental illness, and that's what I want the show to focus on, is just how much fucking mental illness I'm seeing in the last couple of weeks. Can you bring up this story in Google? I don't want you to play the video because it's just horrific, but that Instagram live stream video of that woman who's drink driving with her little sister in the back, it crashes, and then she just live streams selfies of her with her dead body, you know, her sister's dead body. Have you seen that?
No.
Mate, put that into Google, put California woman that live streams crash and sister, and you'll see that she live streams it. So she's live streaming on Instagram driving down California highway, drunk and doing all her gangster signs rapping. She completely loses control of the vehicle, and then she cuts back to her live stream and she's just showing off her dead sister, and she's going, oh, I don't want to go to jail for this, oh, I know you're gonna die, but it wasn't my fault, oh, forgive me. And she's more worried about the camera angle of the live stream and getting her face, and, you know, just broadcasting her sister's dead corpse. You know,
Are you still there?
yo,
Hey, sorry about that. I'm gonna have to add articles in after the fact.
yeah.
Yeah, 'cause it's
Right.
then you start losing bandwidth and.
Oh, I've got so many links to send you. I mean, I'll just run through them quickly. I've got quite a few up.
Alright.
We've got Hamburg supermarket attacks, leaves one dead. I don't know if you saw that one where we had ISIS attack the German market. We've got Muslim gang jailed after ramping through UK streets attacking non-Muslims. So we had all these Muslim youths running around, I think it was Liverpool city centre, beating up Christians, beating up white people. We've got in Germany, everyone deserves a second chance. A 16-year-old girl suspected of joining ISIS is going to be allowed to return home. Another German migrant who said death to all Germans, they've been awarded status. We've had just in 1.4% of asylum seekers landing in Italy are Syrians. Only 1.4% of these refugees coming to Italy are Syrian.
Yeah.
In the UK, we've now got a hexagram vaccine that's come out. So a hexagram vaccine is going to be 6-in-1 vaccines
Wow.
for an 8-year-old. 6-in-1. And I wanted to talk about that because it shows that even if you do agree with vaccines, even if you are pro-vaccine, if you want a flu jab, they're going to combine all these other vaccines in with it.
Yeah, that's nuts. Trying to overload people's immune
6-in-1,
systems like
And
that.
it's because they know that people will start getting nervous. They just want to bolt them all into one. I think this was in Birmingham, but don't quote me. A British woman was raped by a Muslim guy. She flagged down a car for help, and when she flagged down the car she flagged down was another Muslim, and he raped her as well. So she got raped twice in about 15 minutes. A 15-year-old girl.
Jeez.
So she was raped in the streets of Birmingham, went to flag down a car for help. The guy she flagged down raped her straight afterwards. Acid attacks are going through the roof in London. There's been about 3 or 4 separate ones. With the German attack in the Hamburg, I was talking about the supermarket, police are baffled to find a motive. That's what the papers are saying, they're baffled. There's no idea, even though he was shouting Allah Akbar, just completely and utterly fucking baffled. 4 German women arrested in Iraq worked as morality police for Islamic State. So in Germany they had the Sharia police, and these women were running it. Some of them were returning fighters from Iraq. In Austria, a journalist bit off a policeman's leg while he was trying to arrest a migrant. Yet more acid attacks everywhere. We're getting tons of those. We had a gunman open fire in a German nightclub. Again, police are just totally baffled as to what the motive could be. That's what Sky News is saying. Australia, police foil terror plot to bring down a plane. And what we are doing in Britain is Bedfordshire police are trying to. They're putting all these adverts up saying that if you know anyone that's right-wing that might cross the line, report them. And it's got a photo of someone on Twitter, and it says, "Hey, do you want to meet in the gym?" And that's what you need to be looking out for.
I was
And it's
gonna.
just mental illness just all round, from this woman filming her sister dying on the road and upstreaming it, showing how cool and trendy it is, to just complete indoctrination of these shootings, acid attacks, and nobody has any idea what could be causing it. Just no idea.
Well,
And
have you
everywhere I
seen
look, it's mental illness, mental illness, mental illness.
have you seen
mental illness.
any of the clips from Politicon lately?
No.
I wanted to do one. They had a panel that was on. I forget what the term was. Maybe like refugees, radicals, and Republicans or something. And it was basically like a whole bunch of progressives. They even had this one woman that was like a doctor or a psychologist who works with refugees. And then you had these two other guys. One worked at Fox, and the other, I think he was like a movie director or something, who had did a movie in like the 60s or 70s about the guy who basically started ISIS and declared the West is our enemy. And then you had one of these schmucks from the Young Turks up there and some other guy. And I mean, it was really just like the two guys were trying to draw these two people back and tell them, like, listen, we need to find common ground. You're not going to find common ground if you keep telling everyone, well, the only reason they have an issue with this is fear and because they're racist and they need to stop being racist because that's the problem. No, there's actual issues. And then even like the guy from the Young Turks goes, well, you know, they're only radicals because America's been bombing them and we're bombing them and Trump's bombing them. And the guy came out and said, he said, no, I just told you in the 70s this guy declared Western civilization as the enemy. So stop trying to pose this as if the West is just bullying these people. They started it, and you don't want to hear it. I mean, it's you want to see mental illness, watch that panel, and you will just, it just radiates through it. I was gonna do a video on it, but I don't even want to sit through the whole thing again. It's aggravating. And then there was another panel that was all fucking Democrats. Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks was on it, and it was funny because they were basically saying how, in the beginning, they were like, all right, we're going to do a panel on the future of the Democratic Party, and we're not going to even mention the name Trump. How long do you think that lasted? Until everyone was just like, well, Trump. I mean, they would say, the one we cannot name, Voldemort, the Don, like trying to call him other things. But I mean, it was amazing. It just showed the Democrats are going to lose forever. And you even had Simone Sanders out there saying, well, when people say working class, you know, they don't include black people in that, and they don't include this, which I don't know why she thinks that. I don't know why she thinks working class is a race-specific term. But then she goes on her tangent about how, well, soon white people are going to be a minority, so we shouldn't even bother with them. Forget them, fuck them, whatever. And even one of the other people on the panel was like, listen, I understand you're looking at future demographics, and yeah, in 2040, the white working class might not be that big of a voting bloc, but what are we going to do next time around? Like, I mean, this girl is so in the future that it's mind-boggling. The mental illness on all of those panels. Liberalism is a mental disorder, and it was on full display at Politicon.
We're getting more mental, like, illness, and it kind of links to that girl that live streamed her sister's death. Is they're having to introduce a law into Germany now where if someone kills themselves or wants to commit suicide, it's illegal to film it. Because that's what people's first reaction is now when they see someone about to kill themselves in Germany, that they have to release a law saying, hey, can you not film it, can you not get in the way, can you not encourage the person to kill themselves. There's laws, they're thinking about changing laws in America where they're going to have a place on a sidewalk where people can walk along and be on their phones and not worry about bumping into each other. We're getting an epidemic of people walking into traffic. It's actually at epidemic levels now. Car crashes from people on their phones. Epidemic levels. I mean, we joke about it. We had women in England, epidemic, them putting glitter in their vagina. and putting dye on it, and it's causing mass problems with their reproduction.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting crazier and crazier by the friggin' second.
Well, and it seems like the common sense is just nowhere to be found. Like, I guess when you lack common sense, like, mental disorder just kind of creeps in and takes over.
And the most disturbing story that I've seen, I should save till last, is this a story of Charlie Gard, who was in a British hospital. You know, the one that the Trump.
Don't even. That was another thing that really bothered me about the Politicon thing. Because Cenk Uygur, his whole thing was, he was saying, because they were like, oh, well, how are we going to fix healthcare? And Cenk is like, we shouldn't fix it. We just need to have single payer, Medicaid for all. I mean,
like
basically.
We've got in the UK.
Yeah. And Ben Shapiro kept asking him, so what about the rationing? What about the rationing? And Cenk didn't want to hear it, because Cenk would just go, well, we spent money on the Iraq war. We spent money on, I mean, this idea, and this bothers me about the Democrats. They act like there's a endless supply of money when they want to put their policies through, and then when their policies get in place, they realize it's not an endless supply of money. Things are budgeted, and you can't just go and say, oh, well, we're under budget for healthcare, so let's take from the military. Like, it's mental illness. Like, I can't understand people who would look at what happened with that child and say, we need the system that gave us that. Like,
well, the Pope weighed in on it, and the Pope didn't really give a stance. All his message was, I feel sorry for the parents. It's like, no, you need to do more than that. You need to say whether you agree with the parents, and they should be able to do what they want. They should be able to provide the treatment they want, or be able to take the child home if they want to pay for it. But he didn't want to go there. He was just like, oh, I feel sorry for the parents. Trump actually weighed in and said, no, I think they should be able to take the kids to the US, and I'll even pay for it myself. But what this shows you is government owns your child.
yeah.
Under this, you do not have any rights to your child. You do not have any right to healthcare. And it's basically
and that's
a post-birth abortion. This is a post-birth abortion.
The other point Ben Shapiro made about all of this, and he had said it to Cenk, because those two were debating, and then Cenk was on that other panel, is he said, there's a big difference between having health insurance and making sure everyone has insurance, and them actually getting health care. Because that's what's going on now. You know, this child...
If they're caring for them, a baby.
Yeah.
They're compassionate, caring. This is healthcare. Have some compassion for the child. And it's the parents that don't have the compassion, because they should just shut up.
Yeah.
Why are the parents dragging the babies? Why don't they just enjoy the death and enjoy the death? So, you know, if you don't let government drag you to the courts and compassionately kill you, you're the problem. And we've got the problem, I don't want to go there again, but all this issues of selling baby parts after the abortion, keeping the baby alive and selling the organs. We saw that with the Project Veritas. We saw in London that they're actually burning the babies to heat the hospitals. And you're getting, I can show you medical report after medical report where they're saying you should be able to kill your child up until age 3.
Yeah.
And this is what you're seeing. This is a post-birth abortion.
And it's so bothersome that we've devalued human life to this point. Like, I even think about it with these fucking crazy women, like that one teacher I know who I was going to do the video on some of her posts and just show how they don't add up with one another. But you have all of these things where it's like, you know, I don't compete with other women. I try to uplift other women. I'm competing with men. And this whole idea that in order to be an empowered woman, like Gavin McInnes says this, where he says, women have this magical superpower to create life. And for some reason, rather than them thinking their way to be special and, you know, everything is focused around that one magical thing that they can do that no one else can, they think the way to be special and independent is to be just like everyone else. Like, to just, oh yeah, you know, I'm going to be special by being a woman and working construction. And it's like, okay, why? Like, that's not special. That's, wow, you can do a labor job. Like, but that's the mindset they have these women in, where that's more mental illness. Like, if I could do something no one else could do...
It's worse than that. It's like Solent Green. The public are absolutely embracing the idea that the government are able to execute and give a death sentence to a baby. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. You've got no rights as a parent.
Yeah, I don't know how there
You
isn't.
are not entitled to your own health care. And if we say we're killing your baby, we're killing your baby. And not only that, I can show you article after article where you've got the common purpose backed care pathways. They're called care pathways. So I call them death pathways. Where in Liverpool alone, in 1 year, they strapped 150,000 grannies to beds and dehydrated them to death.
It really makes
They didn't even shoot them in the head. They strapped them to a bed and dehydrated them.
It really makes me surprised that there isn't
People are
like.
embracing it. Everyone's attacking the parents. Go, how dare the parents?
Yeah, I can't believe there isn't like nationwide protests against the NHS or whatever, bureaucracy is in charge of this. Like, but to hear that people are taking issue with the parents instead, that's even more troublesome. I don't know how you get to that point where like that's the battle you pick.
Well, this is what I'm saying. It's like we're going to accept Islam. We're going to accept acid attacks. We're going to accept nightclubs being shot up. We can't even go to a supermarket without getting a machete attack. In England, we're getting tons of videos every day of people running around machetes. You're seeing it everywhere, and everyone's just like, "Oh well, that's what my kids are going to be used to. Let's embrace it." But and then the weird thing is they're going to call people like me Islamophobic if I'm scared of Islam, or Paul Joseph Watson's scared of Islam, or Tommy Robinson's scared of Islam. They're the ones standing up to it.
Yeah.
The people that are protecting it and don't dare say anything, surely they're the ones that are scared of Islam and are Islamophobic, because they won't dare say a goddamn thing.
Well, they just have this idea that, well, if I'm just submissive to them, maybe they won't behead me. Like,
Which
it's
is what
this.
Islam means.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I'm telling you, it's really like mind-boggling, and especially for me to, be able to see people I grew up with over here now over there and taking that mindset. Like I said, I'm gonna do a video on that one thing. I look at it at some point where now like it reflects bad on me, where it's like, what was I doing sleeping with someone that crazy? Where it's like, were they that crazy then? I mean, I was a liberal then, but like some of the stuff where it's like you take issue with the people that would protect you, the ones trying to harm you, you're defending the status quo while thinking you're rebelling against it. Like, that's the other thing that bothers me, when you see these InfoWar things with like the songs about Hillary and the meme war with Trump, like, it becomes very obvious who's the subculture, who's the underdog, who is the new punk rock, and everyone's been saying that, but you still have these liberals that are like, we live in a patriarchy, and me being a feminist and, being a dick towards the men who want to actually protect me, and me trying to protect the men who want to fucking genital mutilate me and cut off my clit, like, it's this warped, I want to say Stockholm Syndrome, but it's like almost on another level, where it's like, you're not even just defending your abuser, you're like cuddling up and trying to get in with them. Like, I think of it where it's like, especially with the person I'm referring to specifically being Jewish, I look at it where I'm like, they would be the George Soros in Nazi Germany. They would be the ones selling out the other Jews just for their own protection. Because that's what they're doing now. They're selling out England to the Muslims for their own protection.
Well, a friend of mine was saying that here's a white kid I went to school with. His sister's converted to Islam.
For what reason?
Sister, yeah. I don't know. I haven't got that far in the conversation yet. But I've had a few friends that come out of prison. They are worse than Adam Chowdhury. They're full-on Islamist extremists. They want death to the West. They want death to England. They want to blow stuff up. They want to kill gays. They come out absolutely fucking crazy.
I mean, I understand coming out of prison like that, not like it's good or anything like that, but, you know, being in that environment, you kind of, it's like joining a gang when you're in prison. So I understand that, but, like, the idea that young girls and even young people in general are going towards religion, like, I mean, when I was a teenager, I rejected all religion, but the fact that they're, like,
I think people get sexually aroused from the execution videos, and they get aroused by watching murder.
you know,
That's what they want.
I've thought that too.
Men have been so good to them that they've gone to the upper end and just want the extreme.
Like, there's a kind of 50 Shades of Grey dynamic there, where it's like a bondage, sexual type thing. I could see that. I definitely
it's
could.
just so deprived. Everything's deprived now, and it's just like the next level of excitement.
Yeah.
It just becomes so desensitized, and that's what I keep going back to. Everywhere I've looked in the last week, I've just seen mental illness just go absolutely incredibly through the roof. And you've got other stories where a man gives birth to a child, and it's like, no, it's a woman. It's a man that identifies as a girl, and you're trying to tell me that biology doesn't exist anymore because he self-identifies as a girl. I've got to respect that that's science.
That's insane. I mean, the idea that people, you know...
Better. What about this one, which Stephen Crowder posted? This mum, she loves her son so much, they're going to have a kid.
Oh my god, I didn't see that. But I was going to say, you know, when I was talking to that one person about the transgender thing in the military, I brought up where I was like, well, what about the people who want to be blind and, you know, the transabled and the trans, you know, the men who's turned into a child and all that stuff. And they go to me and they say, that's a slippery slope fallacy. And I said, it's only a slippery slope if it's a hypothetical. I said, this stuff is happening. I said, we have gone to the slippery slope and we are now descending down it. I said, so where do we draw the line? And I tried to say, these are people who feel some sort of way and are trying to alter themselves physically to be in one with their feelings. I said, this is the same as the transgender issue. No, it's not. You don't know what you're talking about. That's a gross oversimplification. I said, no, it's what's going on. Like, that's all there is to it. I mean, granted, I was arguing with an idiot, but, like, you know, it's still the way people are taught to see these things.
We've had an advert come up, West Yorkshire Police, advertising for new recruits. You know the hijab emoji that's come out?
No, I didn't.
Get hijab emoji. Well, just imagine what a hijab emoji is like. They've done that as the whole poster of this hijab emoji of a woman in a hijab and a police uniform, and it says, "Could you be a West Yorkshire police officer?" And these are massive campaign posters that have gone up around England. An emoji of a woman in a hijab promoting people to join the police force.
That's crazy.
Let me just explain this to you again. A woman in a hijab, an emoji hijab, they are massive billboard posters saying, could you work for West Yorkshire Police?
And can you imagine...
Where do you want me to start on where this could go wrong?
Oh, I was just going to say, you know, like, you're just going to have people then who are aware of, you know, potential attacks and everything like that, who are just not going to report on them or even mention them or anything like that. Like, it's going to... You already have it where these people are above the law, and now what? Now we want them to be the law? Like, you're going to have Sharia instated.
If they're wearing a hijab, are they putting the UK law first or Sharia law first?
Sharia. That's what I was just saying. It's... You're going to have it where you're going to be living under Sharia, whether people realize it or not, because they're going to be the law.
And it's this mental illness that no one's saying anything about it. No one's got a problem with it. And if you say anything about it, you're as bad as ISIS. The Wiltshire Police put a tweet out. You can't hide from us if you're spewing abuse from behind a computer screen. Our boys and girls in blue will find you. You know, it's like, dear Wiltshire Police, please concentrate on actually finding some criminals.
That's crazy. So they're just focusing on like online trolling and
A teenage girl's body was found in a fridge in London. In my town, they found the nicest sex dungeon. No one's talking about it.
Really? I didn't know about that.
Police had to go in there. No, I really struggled to find a story, and I live in this town.
Was it just not being covered by mainstream news?
No, couldn't that. Well, it's the nicest. There's a sex dungeon the sex dungeon they found, and it's right in the immigration area. So, yeah.
That's nuts.
That's all I have, Jane. It's just mental illness after mental illness. Oh, and the BBC put out a thing on BBC Three about what not to say to women in hijabs. There's got these British hijab women. Some of them are white and got British accents, and they're just going, oh, don't ask if we wear makeup. Oh, don't ask, if it's oppressive. Well, of course it's not oppressive. I mean, obviously in Saudi Arabia and other countries like that, it probably is, but not in the UK. It's a choice. How can you be so stupid? And it's just like, what fucking planet am I on?
Yeah.
I mean, are they just trying to drive people like me to suicide? Or saying people just drive them off a fucking cliff?
I don't know. I mean, it starts to seem like it because there's just...
Jane, how am I ever going to get a job? Like a proper job, seriously.
Yeah,
Can you imagine what it's like in an office place?
Yeah, trying to be around all these people who will just fucking let the world burn, and anyone who says shit's burning, they're just gonna say, you're a racist. You should embrace this. I mean, that's the weirdest part about it, is the embracing of it, like, that they want it to happen. And I don't know where that mindset comes from. Like, again, you have people who are in the system who want this and who, like, are defending it and will say anyone who isn't. And it's these same people who say, I'm not judgmental, I don't judge people, I am open-minded. And then it's like, oh,
the
well...
The last 3 office jobs I had, there was a big problem just because the boss would say, no mobile phones whilst you're working. And like the amount of people that would throw massive tantrums going, I can't handle that. I have to have my phone, I have to have Facebook, I have to have...
Yeah.
I can't go like an hour. I can't
My sister gets that. Like, if her phone stops working, she'll be like, I don't know what to do without it. And it's like, what are you talking? I mean, at this rate,
go for a walk.
I haven't had a phone in years. I don't know how these people operate. It gets weird when I'm out to eat with people and we're waiting for the food and everyone's like staring at their phones and I'm just looking up being like, oh, does anyone want to talk to me? I'm here in front of you. Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know.
When I go out, I don't take my mobile out. When I'm out, I'm out.
Yeah.
I be completely aware of what's going on, completely into reality. I don't. When I'm at home, that's when I want to pop out and be on social media. Not when I'm out.
I mean, I've had girls I've been talking to where once they hear I don't have a phone, they end up sort of like, what's wrong with you, basically? And it's like, no, I'm trying to be normal. Like, I'm trying to be in the moment and engaged in what I'm doing. Like, I don't need my mind thinking about what everyone I ever met is possibly posting about on Facebook. Like...
The other thing is, what happens when I'm in an office? I mean, I probably need my tinfoil hat. I've already got modems, I've already got printers, I've already got wireless, I've got a TV in there, and then every fucker's got their mobile phone. What sort of radiation levels are we hitting in this tiny box?
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, it's funny, I was watching the movie The Kingsman. It was on when I was hanging out with a friend the other day, and we just had it playing in the back, and I'm talking to him, and then at one point, he stops talking, and I see him watching the TV. And he had never seen the movie before, but it was the part at the end. Have you seen the movie?
No.
It's like a comedy sort of version where it takes from a lot of the old spy movies and James Bond movies. Really good. You should check it out. But there's a part where the guy, Samuel L. Jackson, the villain, has put a frequency device in all of these free phones he gave out, and then he brings all the elite into this bunker, and he's going to turn on the frequency in the phone that's going to make everyone go crazy and kill each other, and then after it's all said and done, the elites are going to come out from the bunker and rule over whoever's left and everything like that. And I was telling my friend, I said, you know, there's a bit of truth in this. Like, it's portrayed as this over-the-top thing, but all this radiation and Wi-Fi and everything like that, like, it does have effects on people and their mood, and it fucks with your DNA and your genetics, like the safe or the smart meters and all that stuff. So it's one of those things where there's an uncomfortable truth put forth in a way in the media that would be, like, palatable to people, but it's far more true than people would like to realize.
Well, and enough for this, we also lost Jim Mars today as well.
Who? Jim Mars?
Jim Mars died last night. Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. That sucks.
So that's, yeah, it's sad. He was probably the guy that actually woke me up because he inspired the JFK film.
Yeah. No, he's done a lot.
So I think that was like my wake up call.
Yeah.
Well, that's
What did he end up
mental illness.
what did he end up dying from? Natural causes, or
Yeah, I think it's already happened.
yeah.
The other thing is, you've probably seen this embraced in RFID chip in business.
Yeah.
Hey, get an RFID chip and you can use the printer. Or you can unlock a door. Or you can just get food out the chunk machine. You can get a Snickers bar. Wow.
You know, and you say it like that, and it sounds so funny, but that really is how they are selling it.
Able to open a door.
Yeah, imagine opening a door. Like, yeah.
You can use the lift. Yeah. Yeah, so you know what I'll be doing at work? All the fucking smart fucks that didn't get it done, I'm going to have to be answering the phone for those fucks, opening the door for them, getting in their fucking lunch. I'm just going to be... And then the other thing, in the UK, we've changed our law in reforming the Gender Recognition Act, so now we're going to make it easier, so just on a whim, you can just pick your gender now.
Wow.
We've introduced that as an actual law.
That's so nuts. And it's like, again, I just wonder how these fucking crazy feminist women are gonna feel when they're all on these, like, oh yeah, you know, I don't compete with other women, I uplift other women, I'm competing against the men. And then for a man to just be like, oh, well, I am a woman. Oh, okay. Like, I mean, is it just gonna be that simple? Where, like, you'll have these women who are on this crusade, and the guy can just be like, oh, no, I'm not a guy, I'm a woman. And then they'll be like, oh, okay, well, then now I'm here to uplift you. I'm not competing against you because you say you're a woman.
Well, I just want to wrap it up. That's what I've seen this week. I've seen people filming their sister's death. They're not in trauma. They're not distressed by the situation. No, this is a great opportunity to show your... Get as many
Let me
views
go
as you can,
viral.
selfies.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me take a selfie with my dead sister. And all she doesn't cry. She says, I hope I don't go to jail for this. I'm ready to go to jail. She's just worried about herself, you know.
Yeah.
She goes to jail. That's followed by all this wearing a burqa is completely normal, just normalising wearing a burqa. Then we've got normalising acid attacks, normalising shooting up German markets, normalising that it's just okay to give a death sentence to a child. And I can show you report after report, medical reports saying that they're going to start doing post-birth abortions. And everyone's saying, there's no death panels. There are no death panels, Jamie.
Yeah, right? That's amazing.
I mean, listen to me, I'm going fucking insane. I can't leave the house.
Yeah.
I just think it's an absolute mental aside.
It's like, how can people say there are no death panels while at the same time this kid is in the headlines and trying to get treatment and they're denying him? Sounds like a death panel to me.
I don't know if I can. I don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks, but it just seems to be absolutely spiraling.
And you know what the other thing about the death panel thing that people don't realize is, you know, we hear things about history and we're not really given a complete context. Like, you know, you're told, for example, Hitler killed the elderly and the disabled and everything like that, and you're given this impression that, you know, he just sent out the troops to go round up all the cripples and then threw them in an oven or something, when it was more what you see going on in England, where they were like, oh, you're disabled? Well, we have this giant socialist healthcare system, and it's going to cost too much to treat you, so we're just going to let you die. Like, it wasn't like a proactive bloodbath as much as people are thinking it as, where it was just denying them healthcare when they needed it, because they had better things to spend the money on, I guess.
Which all came from the Tavistock Institute and
Yeah.
the Frankfurt institutions, which we still have now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
now
actually,
now they've got all this technology, they've got all this brain
I saw,
manipulation.
I think it was an interview from yesterday. It just came on in the random YouTube clips, but I think Dinesh D'Souza wrote a new book about how all of your sort of modern American systems like this are rooted in Nazi eugenics. And thankfully, I was talking to a friend about that stuff the other day, and I brought up Project Paperclip, and this kid already knew about it, where he was like, oh yeah, I know we took all the Nazi scientists and this, and that. And I'm like, yeah, so there is this influence of Nazism all through Western society, and people just don't want to admit it.
Yeah, it's just rebranded.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of it being, you know, Hitler's...
Yeah, no, but people would consent to it instead of having military and scary people in uniforms. That if you can just do it a bit more softly, get people to consent into the program.
Well, I mean, but they don't even, it's not even like that soft, where it's done in this sort of like hysterical, if we don't have Obamacare, 50,000 people are just gonna die. Yeah, if we don't let the trannies into the bathrooms, they're gonna die. And it's like, really? Where you take a dump is a life or death matter? Like, come on. Like, pump the brakes just a little bit. Like, I didn't realize bathrooms were fucking life or death situations.
Well, I'm gonna have to run, man. I'm getting mental health issues now. I'm getting brain aches. I'm getting brain cancer. Just thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to get a workout in, get my head straight.
Yeah, I gotta hop in the shower and get ready for work. But, alright, man. Well, it was good.
So
good.
what are we gonna call this episode? The mental illness. The
Yeah.
Degeneration and the mental illness.
Of society. Yep.
Yeah.
And we'll find something to talk about on Sunday. We'll pick a topic in the next 2 days and round up some info.
All right, cool, man.
All right,
Well,
I'll talk to you later.
Me rant.
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
gonna go crazy if I saw any more mental illness.
Yeah, it's infectious. So, all right, I'll talk to you later, man.
All right, see you later, man.
Take
Bye.
care.